Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Taylor Jones. Do you have any, and I do mean any idea what time it is? If you don't, it's time for you to get prepared for season 7 of Cold Man's Last time on Cold Man's Winter, yours truly, Taylor Jones, brought you a story, the continuance of complaining. Now, from part 3, if y'all recall, Calvin was living his life. He overcame the hardships. He overcame the bullies from both his childhood and high school catch-up. But when he got to Sycamore, he dealt with a new bully by the name of Paul, who was in a wheelchair. And he just don't know when to let go of the fact that Paul was bullied throughout his lifetime. And now he wanted to get even for those that are eligible to walk and run. And he always picked on Calvin. But one day in school, Giselle, a lady named Giselle, had enough of Paul's behavior. And Giselle and Calvin became friends. And they started to know each other. Besides going to school, one day, Paul caught Calvin red-handed, leading to putting Calvin in a dark spot. Giselle fought back by slapping him, telling him to shut up and back off. But later on, in junior year at Syracuse University, Paul had a different state of mind. Still not letting go, still not leaving Calvin alone. He got two guys that are tough, and they threatened Calvin. Paul and the thugs threatened Calvin at gunpoint and being held with his back against the wall to stay away from Giselle. To Paul is business, but Calvin knows that it's personal. But how will Calvin survive this challenge? Well, let's find out right here, right now, with Complaining, Part 4. Yes, so Calvin, he started to complain after Paul got on his bad side. And for those that don't remember, Paul dropped out of school, like, screw school. And he's getting better and better at taunting Calvin and everybody else that he surrounds himself with. Now, Calvin and Giselle, they made it clear to keep themselves distant from sitting with each other, and they have to take separate ways home. But they still got the right to talk to each other on Facebook. And Tiffany, on the other hand, at NYU, she was very shocked to see the post that Calvin made. But since she was shook to see Calvin's new updated profile, Facebook profile, Sir complains a lot, with a picture of him laying on his bed, looking sideways and mad, knowing that Paul, as if he was laying in a casket, telling Paul, "Oh, it's on now." Well, let's just say, now, when senior year hit, Calvin wrote the majority of his rhymes in the spiral notebook or composition book. Wrote a goal to stand out and end Syracuse University strong and proud without being humiliated. So one day, senior year begins at Syracuse. Paul and the thugs watched Giselle arrived and saw Calvin arrive. However, they were not supposed to make a move unless they were right by each other. One of the guys ended up climbing the ladder to check out what is going on. He's peeping to the windows. He spotted Giselle sit one area, Calvin sit on another area, staying distant because Paul and the thugs knew that their plan was working. But Calvin was not going to let that get the best of him. To the fact that one day after school, a Friday afternoon, a conversation was heard between Paul's homies talking about we ought to celebrate because after one long year of Paul finally getting his way, or so he thought, Calvin, he actually came up with an idea to get him back. Traced him down. And remember when I told you that they live in a house that was like a big house made in the 50s and nobody's been living through it. And Paul had the idea to create a hangout. Well, let's just say that once Paul and the thugs arrived at their hangout, there was the letters DEMO, demo, a sign of we're going to demolish this place. And Paul got so uptight that he was warned about this. How many times has the word demo ended up written or sprayed on that house? Let's just say that house has been sprayed with the words demo, like we really need to take this down. And somebody ended up painting it back to like, oh, this is fine. You ain't humiliating me. I ain't leaving this spot. This is my hangout. And the thugs like, yo, get some paint. I'm tired of this crap. But while one of the thugs were getting the paint, the other thug spotted a note, eviction note, like to whom it may concern, like a warning from the NYPD. Whoever is in this house, we had it up to here, as in you are violating the trespassing laws. And for those that are painting over the words demo, you will probably be charged. You'll end up charged if you don't cease and desist. This is our final warning. And he was like, man, screw that. Screw the warning. And then rips up the police report, the police warning for the trespassing laws that are violated, because the house that they made a hangout was considered off limits. But why must this tick off Paul? Because he saw the paint with the sprayed words demo. Let's say he saw it every now and then, it's like 15 times. And then Calvin realized that, and he actually had an idea. But to prevent from getting caught spying, or some say stalking, well, Calvin was spying on Paul, the wheelchair guy, and the thugs. Matter of fact, how did they get to that hangout? Well, let's just say that Paul and the thugs were riding in a convertible Eldorado 1971, the same automobile that Andre 3000 drove on the Players Ball video. And it was white. No, white is an overused color for that. Let's say they went candy paint purple. Candy paint purple, like the syrup, the promethazine, the lean, the codeine, the scissor. Colored purple candy paint with gold rims. And the rims, let's say that they were rolling on 25s. 25-inch rims with the gold, as DJ Paul and the 3-6 Mafia, back when they were 666, would talk about cars. They would call them purple thing, gold hammers gleaming as I see you pass. So, after spotting the Cadillac and the house with the word demo and Paul acting a fool, Calvin had an idea to put an end to it. So, Paul ended up stopping by Giselle's, knocks on the door, and her father answers. Hey, who are you? Well, I am your daughter's classmate, and I want to talk to Giselle. Well, come on in. You must be Calvin that she was talking about. Yes. And so Calvin and Giselle's father, they actually met each other for the first time, and they were actually pleased that they are communicating, and they're just like they have a chemistry, because both Giselle and Calvin were actually dealing with a lot of hardships in their lives, and the fact that Giselle told Calvin what went down and why she became a fighter. Now, that was from the last episode. Now, she's been a fighter ever since the day that her mother was disloyal. And when Giselle heard her father and Calvin conversating, Giselle was like, what are you doing here? If Paul finds out about this, you are dead. So what? And the father's like, well, now, wait a minute, Giselle. Wait a minute. Now, listen. Now, Calvin told me that there's this little thing going on with Paul and the thugs. And Giselle, with her arms folded, listening to Calvin, knowing that this is senior year. See, Calvin was not going to go out like a punk. He's going to go out with a bang. And he explained that he spotted Paul getting worked up, all because the words demo was written on that house. And Calvin's father and Giselle's father like, whoa, wait a minute. Demo? As in demolition? Well, why is he still there? Giselle asked. Well, because that's where he always takes over. And so the thugs found some paint. One of them found a letter from the police, New York Police Department. And they had a warning, like a final warning. And since Paul is going to have a party tonight, not to mention he dropped out last year and got away with murder, causing me and you to stay apart from each other because we were threatened. And even if he got us tapped or recorded us, we're gonna get them first. We're gonna get them back, actually. So that was the thing. Paul ended up getting the word that he was about to get into some deep trouble by the police. And the fact that he's going to get charged for trespassing and violating the laws. But whenever a house says demo on it, you stay the heck out of it. And especially when it's not yours. But Paul didn't give a dang. You know what I'm saying? It just got to the point that he's fed up. He really wants the cops to shut up. Shut the heck up. But guess what? He wasn't fazed about this. Paul and the thugs, they threw a party. And they made sure to let everybody know, everybody that partied with Paul, how much of a jerk he is. So, Calvin, Giselle, and Giselle's father, they teamed up. They had an idea. They all had to dress in black. No colors, just black. Giselle, she had the dead president's face paint. White face, black eyes, black lipstick. Black lips. She wore the biggest pair of bamboo hoop earrings, and it was gold. No, silver. Long hair. Let your hair down with a skull cap. A black turtleneck. Black jeans. Black leather boots. The knee-high square toe, not pointy toe, square toed with a thick heel. Because the stiletto was like too slim, and she stuck with the thick heel. That way the heel would not break off. She had a Smith & Wesson. A Smith & Wesson revolver. Her father had the same shotgun that the mother was trying to kill him with. And as for Calvin, well, let's say that he had the mastermind. He was the mastermind to come up with retaliation. Like, oh yeah? Well, let's fight. So he had vegetable oil and cooking oil. Like, sprayed the house. Pour the cooking oil on the left side, and the cooking oil, veggie oil on the right, cooking oil to the left, like half and half. But as he was doing that, he explained, like he quoted Red Grant Butch from Leprechaun in the Hood when he said, "So the mix of a douche is very, very combustible. Combustibility plus electricity equals flammability." And then, like, now remember, everybody dressed in black. But Calvin, he was dressed up. Black bandana. Black gloves. Black gloves, black bandana. Black long sleeve shirt. Black jeans. Black Nikes with the white swoosh on it. And the father, a black flannel shirt, long sleeved, and similar. And of course, Giselle and her father wore gloves too, which means no fingerprints, because Giselle's father taught her how to use a gun. And since they rode in a Buick, in Calvin's Buick LeSabre, the 85 box Buick LeSabre, the father, Giselle's father, brought some weapons. He brought bombs, but he brought one bomb that was set. With the thingamajig to like he had a controller to press the button. So the bomb he set up was not timed. It just like it's turned on and it was automatically made to blow up. But the only way to blow up is to have a switch. But not only that, he had like a couple bombs that were like wrapped up like candles, with birthday candles, and you put them all together inside like a jar. Like he had sticks of dynamite. And of course, they will go off alongside the controllers. So, side note. Calvin, he poured cooking and vegetable oil on the outside, like on the walls, and even on the ground, like when you're stepping out. Then, step 2, the father, following Calvin, placed a couple stacks of dynamite that were tied together like they were in a jar. Placed them alongside the main bomb that's going to blow up. Because once the main bomb, the setup bomb, is set to explode, the sticks of dynamite will explode alongside of it, causing more fire. Then, all of a sudden, the father and Giselle's father and Calvin ran back to the car. And they hide behind it. And Giselle, she's exactly explaining what they're going to do next after succeeding to set the place up for a complete explosion. But this is what it means when they go out with a bang. So Giselle's plan was to have a speaker alongside. So she got the speaker set up because once the gunshots go off, everybody that was in that party, they're going to run, scream, and drive away. But as for Paul and the thugs, they are going to have to face the ultimate price for hunting, for disrespecting, and for not giving a dang. But before the gunshots went off, Calvin, he turned on the police sirens, tried to psych out everybody at the party. And it was shocking. Everybody that was in the party that had nothing to do with Syracuse University nor NYU, this random crew, this random folks, and at the party at a house that was supposed to be demolished. And since Paul was like, F the police, turns out Calvin had it up to here for the police. Like, they side with the police and put Paul in his place. So, Calvin started off with holding a mic that will attach to the speaker, like doing karaoke. Play the police sirens, like, hey, yo, what's going on? Hey, yo, what's going on? But remember, Giselle, her father, and Calvin are not supposed to be seen because they came up with the master plan. And somebody's like, yo, what's going on? Why is the police here? And the police like, oh, shoot, we gotta go. And Paul like, nah, F that. Funk, F-U-N-K, that noise. It's just somebody trying to prank us. Attention, Paul and others. You have exactly 15 seconds to get up out of this house. That is house, or we open fire. So the thugs went up to get their guns. Like, hey, where you think you're going? You said F the police, right? Well, we're gonna shoot at the cops. That's why we're getting our guns. Oh, you go ahead. Oh, that's right, you go ahead. Now. And everybody, all the fellas, all the ladies, because in that party there was a lot of drinking, and a lot of marijuana, like a lot of getting high and getting drunk taking place, and it was like a vulgar party. And yes, somebody played the Hardheads, their big hit Funk the Lies. But they played F the Lies, the dirty version. And let's just say that after everybody's like, oh, yo man, I'm gonna go ahead. I don't do it. I told you it's a prank. Told you it's a prank. Paul, for the last time. Get out of this house or otherwise face the punishments. In the count of 3. And the lady started they start running. 2. The fellas start running and Paul like, hey, get your butts back here. 1. And the thugs ran down the stairs, strapped and loaded. And Calvin looks at Giselle and her father. Giselle's father. Fire! And he sung Fire by the Ohio Players. Calvin sung Fire! And of course, Calvin held the microphone in the air. And yes, Giselle and her father shot a couple rounds. Boom, 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 boom. And everybody's going, ah! Boom, boom, boom. But meanwhile, the thugs, Paul's thugs, they ran outside shooting a couple rounds. Like, they shot me. Well, of course, they prevented shooting the partygoers because all of them ran. Because they, remember, and one of them had a Beretta. The other one had a micro Uzi. Like, the Uzi that Don Cheadle used for the movie Colors. And remember, everybody was running. Some of them ended up heading in their cars and driving off, pulling off. But no, fuck that. F-U-N-K. Fuck that. I'm getting out of here. I don't want to die, man. Man, I ain't not disrespecting the police. Man, screw that. I can't let my girl know about this. Looks like some expose themselves like, hey, yo, man, why you got to bring up your girl like that? Yeah. I can explain later. And yes, while the Paul's thugs were shooting, and Giselle and her father, they were shooting, that's when one of the thugs like, yo, hold up, hold it, man. What? I don't see no cops. Wait, what? Are you kidding me? And Paul rolled out like, what the heck is going on? Why? What's going? I told you this was a prank. I knew it was. But the other thug was like, wait a minute. What's that smell? What do you mean? Wait, yo, what's this? Why are my shoes so sticky? What's going on? Cooking oil. But wait, there's more. More cooking oil? No. Half cooking, half vegetable oil. And then Paul was like, what the? Who in the world? Oh, heck no. Oh, heck no. Yes. Paul started to panic. The thugs looked like, what is it, Paul? Oh my gosh. Yo, pick up Paul. Hey, man, get your hands on me. Well, we have to. We gotta get the heck out of here. The police set us up. There's bombs in this motherfricker. Oh, we gotta go. Oh, snap. Bombs. Yo, man, this is stupid. Yo, come on, let's go. Hey, man, hold on, man. This is messed up. And Paul was like, hold up, man, stop. This is messed up. Well, and the thug's like, no, fuck that. We got to get out of here. The police ain't playing. And these are the ones that's trying to tell us. I knew we could. I knew we should have thought of going somewhere else. But frick it. You had to stay real. But now I see why. So Paul's thug started to talk him down, knowing as if that they finally putting two and two together and acting like it's all Paul's fault. So Paul and the thugs, they drove off knowing that the place is going to blow up. But before they did that, Giselle and her father placed the speakers back in the trunk, got in the car, and wait till Paul and the thugs pulled off in their purple Eldorado convertible, driving off, panicking that as if the police really got on them, knowing that they were fed up. And then after 15 seconds of watching Paul and the thugs pull off, Giselle smiles at her father. Calvin gave him the nod, and Giselle's father said, boom, bitty, bye bye, beep, explosion, and the house, the hangout that was supposed to be demolished, it actually turned out officially cremated, exploding, fire, and everything was supposed to be back to normal. But for Calvin, he drove off. They celebrated their victory, their retaliation, their get back. They fought back against Paul. They reigned supreme. So, for a couple of months, still senior year, and everybody was talking about what went down. Paul and the thugs got humiliated, and everybody that was at the party, they were like, they were running their mouths like telling, yo, man, I'm telling you, somebody had the nerve to do this. And then when they found out that the house that Paul and the thugs were living by were actually reported to be demolished, and how many police warnings they had, like 15 times, they were like, yo, man, I feel like that wheelchair guy has lost his dang mind. Yeah, he lost his mind, alright. So what now? Yeah, I just don't think this is going to be a good look. Alright. And when everybody saw Paul and the thugs, they started to act like they don't know him. Like they like, let me see. Taxi! One of them screamed out taxi, but he didn't go to the taxi. He actually went to the bathroom. Everybody was shook, surprised, and they finally found out that Paul was not who he was considered, not to be trusted, and not to be talked to. But Tiffany and her boyfriend knew about it. And one day they had to come to Calvin, texting and or messaging him on Facebook. Calvin, is this true? Did you really blow up Paul's hangout? Yes, me, Giselle, and her father. Does the police know about this? No, but they will. They will soon. So April 1 month before Giselle and Calvin graduated from Syracuse University, the police at some point ended up spotting Giselle and Calvin as they were about to head out of Syracuse University, and they stopped them before they got into Calvin's Buick LeSabre, and they asked him, and they took him to the station to ask questions, and they asked questions alongside with Giselle's father, because he was at the station first. They approached the NYPD approached Giselle's father first. Then Giselle and Calvin were asked to come and ask the same questions. They all said what the cops needed to know. But it was Calvin and Giselle that explained that Paul was not really a good guy, and his thugs approached Calvin, and they actually had them on watch. And because of the fact that the police warned them about trespassing in a house that's not theirs, especially when it's supposed to be demolished, that really put a lot of people on the edge. But the cops, they actually gave leniency to Giselle's father, Giselle and Calvin, for actually doing their work for them. Because since Calvin explained that Paul was a bully, and since he dropped out, he started becoming more vulgar, more gangster. They had no other choice but to let them go, because the truth has set Giselle, her father, and Calvin free. So this is how powerful Calvin was. Like, almost at the last minute, like in the beginning, it's normal, but all of a sudden, when someone pushes his buttons, he starts to fall apart. But then he finds a way to get back in stride again, like Frankie Beverly and Maze, because he found a way to prove the bullies that they were wrong. But all of a sudden, with nowhere to go, no place to hang out, Paul and the homies, they had a altercation, like an argument against each other. Paul gets mad at them for their loyalty. And the fellas got mad at Paul for not thinking. Because if you a gangster and you gotta be so macho, you know you're gonna fall apart. So Paul, still believing that he's the macho man, but realized at the very last minute that Paul just got punked by Calvin, that the one that he bullied in Syracuse and threatened to stay away from Giselle. Well, he finally found out that Giselle and Calvin are still hanging out, and everybody, and not to mention one of, oh man, I'm sorry for sounding a little sick, but one of the guys that were at the party, they actually actually heard Calvin's voice. He's like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. Oh, Paul's not gonna like this. Because one of the party goers let's just say he ended up getting into an altercation and it nearly turned deadly, that he got locked up for nearly taking out somebody's life. And then he realized that a few months later, that Calvin was the one that actually put this whole thing together for revenge. And Calvin succeeded. So Calvin, oh wow. Calvin really got Paul good. But Paul, he decided to give Calvin a visit. Paul and the thugs decided to give Calvin a visit. And yes, they were strapped. But that visit, it turned out to be their last. Because now, Calvin, spotted rocking his cap and gown, knowing that his special day was coming. Let's say it was the day before the graduation. The day before graduation, Calvin is rocking his cap and gown, feeling so relieved. But due to the fact that he ended up walking to his car, the purple Cadillac Eldorado pulled up. All the men got out that car, and Paul, he was taken out the car as well. Well. If it isn't Paul and the thugs. You got some nerve to do what you did a few months ago. And because of you, I am in deep crap here. I nearly had a fallout with my homies because of you. You had the nerve to get me? Well, you were the one that had the nerve to put me in my place for wrong reasons. You the one that's threatening to kill me and stay away from Giselle. Haven't you noticed that what you're doing is so overrated? How come you didn't find the bullies that punked you? You know what? It doesn't matter. And I was about to go meet Giselle, pick her up, and celebrate the fact that we gonna graduate college tomorrow. Well, you ain't gonna live to see it. You better be. And because of that, you about to say goodbye. Now get on your knees, scumbag, or else you pay the price. Fine. I will. So he got on his knees, and Calvin got on his knees, mad, brave, and tried his very best to keep his robe clean, because he's going to walk down the aisle tomorrow, walk up on the stairway to the stage, grab his diploma, his degree, his bachelor's degree, and then celebrate his defeat. No, his defeating Paul. But for right now, the day before, Paul wanted him to die really bad. Any last words? Mr. Sir complains a lot. Why, yes. U-R-U-A. Dead gummy in plain English, double crosser. Fine. You are. And just when he said you are, Paul actually ended up grabbing a gun out of the thugs' pockets, because the thugs were strapped with not one gun but two. So he grabs both guns like, because he thought that Calvin was peeing him off just because he said you are, when he explained that he wants Calvin to say it in words, not letters. You are. So Paul cocked both guns, because all the thugs, they had those guns cocked already when he got on the knees. And then Paul, he got his guns cocked at them, at Calvin. And then he finished up. Calvin finished up when he said, under arrest. Under arrest. You are under arrest. Save it, mother effer. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, he's right. Oh no, he's right. The police officer stood behind Calvin. No, stood behind Paul like a big shadow covered the sunshine. And the guys, after they were startled when he heard that voice, what the? And then all of a sudden, the guy standing behind Paul's like, drop it, drop it. And the sound of the sirens, which The speaker. The speaker that was used to scare off the partygoers and the microphone. Woo! The police sirens played and the cops, they showed up, not in their cars, but the sound of the siren means that they're screwed. All right, freeze! Everybody freeze! Get down on the ground. Put your hands up where I can see them. Keep them up. Slowly. And as for the speaker and the microphone, Giselle actually caught Calvin on time with her father. Giselle rocking her cap and gown, and Giselle's father had the speaker set up. And yes, not to mention the mayor of New York, the same mayor that explained that the city catch-up will no longer be north and south, but catch-up as a whole. No more south, no more north. It's together. It's all one. Unity. He caught up with Giselle, her father, and Calvin, while Paul and the thugs were handcuffed and sent away. But not by police cars. They were sent away in a van. And the cops made sure to help out Paul since his leg's been broken for a long time and he has to be in a wheelchair. So they had to set him up and sat with him. Yeah. The mayor caught up with the three and they asked them how they were doing. And also and they gave them a reward on behalf of the house that you demolished. The New York Police Department and I, the mayor of Ketchup, would like to congratulate you all by giving you a reward. So the reward for helping out the cops and taking out the dirty work, and the fact found the people responsible for violating the trespassing laws and causing mayhem, they actually ended up getting a reward. Giselle, her father, and Calvin ended up getting, let's just say, they ended up with a $700,000 award. $700,000. Now that's crazy. But they had to split it 3 ways. And when they did that, they split it 3 ways and they made sure to keep in touch because they were in a mood to celebrate. So they celebrated after taking out the trash, Paul and the thugs, and they all ended up, well, let's say they all ended up in court. Now they ended up in court in September. That's 4 months till trial, and in the fall, like September, summer turns to fall. They all were found guilty, and the fact that since they resisted following directions, they have to pay the price. So the thugs So the thugs, they ended up getting 18 years. 18 instead of 25. But Paul the wheelchaired guy and Calvin's college bully, he ended up getting 23. With no obligation of parole. 23 to life. 23 years, no parole. But the thugs, 18 with no parole. But so they'll get out five years before Paul. And that's exactly how serious life was, going completely downhill for Paul and for dimming Calvin's light at Syracuse University. But the very next day, Giselle and Calvin, caps and gowns, diplomas. After college was over, everybody shook hands, hugged, took pictures, and even Giselle's father gave Calvin his blessing, because he knew that Giselle, Giselle's father knew that Calvin was the right man for Giselle. Because this is a catch-up thing. Catch-up New York type vibe. But still, what's next? After writing hundreds of pages of lyrics, and he had a picture of Giselle and him, Calvin, on the wall. The proudest moment of their lives, when they smiled, took pictures. But of course, the special moment is when it's kind of like hearing Escape's instrumental of Arms of the Ones Who Love You, when the beat started playing. Giselle hugs Calvin. Like, hug him like this, and he picks her up and spins her slowly and carefully, like a hug scene that is filmed in slow motion, knowing that it was like a happily ever after. But it wasn't a happily ever after yet. So what do you think is the next turnout for Calvin? What about the rap group the Hardheads? What's next for Calvin after college? Well, will there be more bullies to face? Find out next time. In other words, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click the notification bell, and there'll be more in stores. The link will be in the description bar down below based on the last episode. And yes, this is yours truly, Taylor Jones, signing out with a long-awaited part 4 of Complaining. But for right now, TBC, to be or not to be continued. That is the question. Find out on Complaining Part 5 on the next episode of Cold Man's Winter, Season 7.